This was the scene at Jantar before the first protester even arrived. The state deployed over 1,000 police personnel and a fleet of riot control vehicles, signaling they expected a massive, potentially volatile confrontation. The people they were bracing for have branded themselves the Cockroach Janta Party. It's a name born from a specific grievance. These students feel that the current political system views them as disposable pests rather than citizens with a future. In roughly a week, their digital footprint exploded to 22 million followers. Compare that to established political parties. While traditional organizations spend years and millions manufacturing reach, the Cockroach movement achieved it through sheer organic outrage. This level of physical and digital mobilization suggests we aren't looking at a staged political rally. It has the hallmarks of a spontaneous eruption from a public that has reached its limit. The catalyst for this mobilization was the collapse of the national examination system. Catastrophic security compromises and paper leaks derailed both the NEET and CUET exams, the primary gateways to higher education in India. For millions of students, this wasn't an abstract policy failure. It meant lost academic years, the erasure of career goals, and futures put entirely on hold. The stakes quickly moved beyond academic years. In the wake of these leaks and the resulting uncertainty, 5 students took their own lives. This data shows the resulting tension. 5 students dead, and yet the ministries overseeing the exams haven't seen a single resignation. Government officials have largely remained insulated from the fallout of their own administrative errors. When the state refuses to acknowledge lethal failures in its own bureaucracy, the public is left with no institutional path for grievance. They are forced to occupy physical spaces like Jantar just to demand a basic level of accountability. The primary demand at Jantar is specific: the immediate resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. The people calling for his exit aren't political operatives. They are people like the teenager from Vikaspuri who came to the protest despite his parents' fears, simply because his future was put on hold when his CUET exam was cancelled. These individual stories of wasted years and broken plans have merged into a singular demand for structural change. They aren't looking for apologies. They are looking for a reset of the system. By focusing on a cabinet-level minister, these protesters are asserting that power must carry consequences. They are explicitly rejecting the common practice of scapegoating low-level clerks for high-level systemic failures. However, as the protest grew, a different kind of tension emerged between the students and the mainstream media. Instead of questioning the minister or investigating the leaks, reporters began interrogating the students about their clothing. They used their airtime to ask why protesters were wearing branded shoes or specific t-shirts, treating their appearance as more relevant than their academic careers. Other segments of the press took it further, attempting to frame the entire movement as a toolkit operation, insinuating that these students were merely paid actors funded by opposition parties. This illustrates the media's priorities. On one side, you have the heavy reality of 5 lives lost. On the other, the triviality of what a student chose to wear to a protest. The coverage, however, stayed fixated on the trivial. Protesters responded by physically pushing the media back. They chanted for news crews to leave and blocked cameras, refusing to let their message be distorted by hostile questioning. By focusing on distractions rather than the ministry's failures, the mainstream press effectively prioritized the government's image over the students' reality. This failure left the protesters with no choice but to use their own platforms to communicate their demands directly. In a rare turn, the government officially granted permission for this protest to take place at Jantar, a departure from the immediate suppression often seen at similar gatherings. One prominent theory for this decision is the gaze of the international press. With global outlets already covering the Cockroach movement, a visible crackdown on students demanding fair exams could have created a diplomatic and reputational cost the administration wasn't willing to pay. It's a notable outcome. An organic group of youth managed to leverage global visibility to secure a space for dissent, achieving a tactical victory that traditional political opposition often struggles to reach. Throughout the site, students are now framing their fight in the language of the Constitution. They aren't just talking about exam papers. They are invoking the legacy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and their fundamental rights as citizens. By connecting exam integrity to constitutional promises, they are arguing that a state which cannot guarantee a fair path for its youth is failing its most basic social contract. When formal institutions and the media stop acting as checks on power, the public becomes the final mechanism for accountability. This mobilization at Jantar Mantar is a reminder that a democracy's resilience ultimately rests with the people willing to stand up for it.